What's going on, everyone? Jeremy here from The Quartering, and in case you didn't know it, Orange Man is bad. And now we get to experience that in our Hollywood films, in our superhero films. Wonder Woman 1984 is out, and it's got a huge inspiration about Trump and Trumpism, which is exactly what I want Wonder Woman to deal with. Now, most of the reviews are solid, and again, the first Wonder Woman, excellent film. I would probably give it a 85 out of 100, 8.5 out of 10 if that's how you want me to rate it. I'll probably watch Wonder Woman 1984 randomly. But again, I'm probably going to be one of those people that, there's going to be a lot of these middle of the road movies that I just don't watch anymore. Maybe that's just me, but a big part of seeing Marvel movies for me was just the popcorn and taking the wife out and getting out of the house for a little bit. The idea of watching 150 minutes of Wonder Woman sitting in my own living room just isn't as appealing to me. And maybe other people agree or they disagree. I don't know. Overall, the reviews are very good. 89% overall of top critics, and even the negatives aren't that bad. Adam Sweeting saying, "Not so delightful was the realization that Wonder Woman 1984 is crying for some editing. 151 minutes. Are they serious? While the uninspired climax that Gal Gadot's title character spends so long laboring towards really isn't worth the wait. The disappointing sequel highlights not only the dire state of live-action superhero genre and film, but the dire state of Hollywood filmmaking in its process." But you knew that these people were going to heap praise on the movie, and also, look, the first Wonder Woman was a good film. And it's just never going to be as good as the original. Also, the 1984 retro aesthetic to me just doesn't feel that fresh, especially after Stranger Things did it and so many other things did it. Well, now, of course, Wonder Woman 1984 review confirms villain Maxwell Lord is a stand-in for Donald Trump. To no one, this is via Abounding in the Comics. To no one's surprise, it's being incontrovertibly verified that reimagining of Maxwell Lord, as played by Pedro Pascal in Wonder Woman 1984, is based on President Trump. Reviews of the Patty Jenkins film are coming in, and they make it very clear who Lord is supposed to be, which is probably why it got such great reviews. Collider's review, subtitled, I wish this were a better movie," sums it up thusly, quote, "Patty Jenkins' sequel is a well-intentioned but sloppy punch against Trumpism. Jenkins makes no secret what she's aiming for with her movie." Collider's Matt Goldberg writes, "Set in the 1980s, she depicts a world of excess, self-entitlement, and indulgence, and the Lord is distinctly Trumpian figure with his reliance on mass media and conning others to amass more power," he continues. The reviewer draws a distinction between Trump and Lord in one way, but then goes after POTUS and how he views his children in the process, writing, "Although Lord differs from Trump genuinely loving his child and not just seeing his offspring as an extension of his own vanity." It goes on, Wonder Woman 1984 becomes even more muddled when you simply try to understand what Max Lord is up to. The reviewer adds, "The movie doesn't fare much better with Barbara Minerva as Cheetah, and overall, the execution is atrocious." Execution might not be what Patty Jenkins cares about. Recently, she revealed that her perspective that film is all about sending a message. Her intended message with Wonder Woman 1984, is the usual: America's built on greed and excess. Hollywood refrains, plus the tired colliery that the 80s were the pinnacle of that. Jenkins, however, countered in August that Trump was only an inspiration she drew on. Quote, "He's one of them," Jenkins told Screen Rant. "Trump is definitely one of the people we looked at. But that's any kind of mavericks or business success that was big in the 80s who went on to be major players in the world, potentially questionable other ways." Jenkins deflected by saying she's not political and it's not about being political. Quote, "I don't have an agenda to have a political message to send to the world. Everyone needs to look at themselves right now and our politics, our belief system of excess." Coming from somebody who works in Hollywood, is freaking rich, right? Using Lord as a representation for Trump follows a trend in DC releases going back to last year at least. Joker used Thomas Wayne as a cipher for soulless politicians and businessmen. Birds of Prey, a film on record as made to, quote, smash the patriarchy, and its caricature of Black Mask as a vain, paranoid misogynist followed. Wonder Woman 1984 is coming out in theaters at the same time on HBO Max, so if the film fails, they can write it off without blaming Trump supporters, patriarchy, men, Comicsgate, or any of those chosen boogeymen. The overall review here is not great. And, you know, what's interesting to me is, you know, if you just kind of want to turn your brain off and watch a film and not look at this kind of stuff, I wouldn't hold it against you. I do it all the time. Sometimes you just want to enjoy a film. They might have their weird cringe moments, like that girl power moment in Endgame, but at the end of the day, you know, it's a forgettable throwaway moment. Wonder Woman 1984 might be the perfect example of what happens when you are more worried about owning Drumpf than putting together a good movie. You know, it says here was Patty Jenkins' 2017 adaptation of Wonder Woman was one of the better superheroes of the decade and showed that Diana Prince had a lot of good stories to tell on the big screen. Unfortunately, the sequel has too many of them to tell and no idea how to do it. The movie has some great ideas about the current moment and rooting them in excess and avarice of the Reagan 80s, but the plotting is an absolute mess that frequently forgets that Diana in favor of confusing villain machinations. All too often, Wonder Woman 1984 becomes a victim of very excess and shortcuts it seeks to critique, even though it tries to uphold truth and sacrifice as a central value we must celebrate if we are to survive. Well, yeah. You know, I'm not surprised by this one bit. Jenkins made no secret of what she's aiming for with her movie. Set in the 1980s, she depicts a world of excess, self-entitlement, and indulgence. And Lord is a distinctly Trumpian figure with his reliance on mass media and conning others to amass more power. Now, of course, he also takes a shot at Trump. Wonder Woman is the antidote to this excess by showing that this offer is, quote, more is always based on a lie, and that the only way forward is through truth and sacrifice. Diana herself is tested through a relationship with Trevor and shows in order to save the world, she has to give up Steve since the trade-off for her wish are her superpowers. All this makes sense, but the execution is atrocious. The film starts off, I don't want to give out too much. It becomes more muddied. Ultimately, summarizing it, Wonder Woman 1984 is a movie with well-intentioned message, of course, because you agree with it, that has no idea how to put the message in a compelling story. The film is guilty of both trying to do too much with regards to overstuffed it is, and guilty of doing too little with its thin plotting and confusing character motivations. 2017's Wonder Woman works because it's the story of Diana growing from a sheltered existence, discovering why the world needs her, and deciding to fight for what the world despite its many shortcomings. The sequel has none of that, and while Wonder Woman is still a hero we need, she deserves much stronger stories than what her new movie has to offer. But, you know, Patty Jenkins already got another huge Disney movie. So, you know, the problem is a lot of times with these directors is they're just entrenched. You know, there's like no negative repercussions for putting out a stinker. Like you just, yep, you stunk. You failed at this movie, but let's just, you know, we'll toss you in. We'll make sure you just get another movie. I mean, even if you look at, it'll be interesting to see how Rotten Tomatoes handles the user reviews. This, like, I mean, look, if it's like, you know, how do you say it? It's not like Trump is off limits. He has plenty of mockable characteristics. If it's done well, it can be hilarious. And if it's ham-fisted, though, and lazy, like Orange Man bad, haha, look, he looks like a Cheeto, this is not the type of writing normal people like. Even though you still have only half of the country that agree with you, Patty Jenkins, and I just don't know why you'd want to risk, I don't know, pissing them off just to own Drumpf. It makes no sense to me. The idea that you tried to pretend like you weren't making a political statement, I mean, quite frankly, you lied. Patty Jenkins lied about this. It's very clear based on what the reviews say that this was about, you know, making this character into owning Drumpf. Will it ruin the movie? Probably not. Not, it won't be worse than poor writing or a movie that sticks around too long. I mean, 2.5 hours. No thanks. I'm over the 3 hour epic sagas, especially movies that are just so thin in plot like superhero films. I hope you enjoyed this video. We'll talk to you again real soon.